high side. Murphy shooting, save a rebound on the view.
Hey everyone, this is Casey. You are watching the Red Rubber Duckling All Sports Network. Let's just say last week sucked. Hopefully the Steelers were able to wash the bad taste of the loss to the Browns out of their mouths with some Thanksgiving dinner. But now they travel down the road to Cincinnati and take on the Bengals in yet another divisional showdown. The Steelers are looking to play pissed after a loss like that on their appearance on Thursday Night Football. Meanwhile, the Bengals are trying to get their season back on track after a string of unlucky breaks. They just had their bye, and they will have an opportunity to take down a divisional rival on Sunday afternoon. Steelers versus Bengals always produces a shootout, so will we see one in Cincinnati? Let's go ahead and go over these two squads. This game looks to be an offensive showcase, and the Bengals offense still remains as dangerous despite their record. This offense has scored 20-plus points in 4 in each of their last 5 games, including 27-plus in each of their last 3. It is clear that Joe Burrow has carried the team on his back this year. So far, he is at 27 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. 2 weeks ago against the Chargers, he threw for 356 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jamar Chase is the guy to watch out for as he has 6.6 receptions per game, 96 yards per game, and is the only receiver in the NFL thus far with over 1,000 yards receiving, and the only one thus far with double-digit touchdowns with 12. The other one to look out for is T. Higgins with 6.3 catches per game, 81.5 yards per game, and 4 touchdowns, including one 2 weeks ago to go along with 148 yards against the Chargers. The running back duo of Zach Moss and Chase Brown have combined for 42.2 yards per game and 3 touchdowns. Last time, Brown was mainly responsible for the rushing attack with 86 yards. And this season, he has 55.2 yards per game, 4.3 yards per carry, and 2 touchdowns. The Steelers' offense really needs to find ways to get points on the board. You could use the excuse of AFC North football, but that excuse can only hold on for so long. The Steelers have been held to under 20 points in back-to-back games, and they are currently in the middle of the pack in terms of points per game at 22.9, which is 14th to be exact, and that cannot fly. And Russell Wilson still had a decent air show in Cleveland last week, throwing for 270 yards and a touchdown. Calvin Austin was a receiver of that touchdown to go along with catching all 3 targets for 78 yards. And George Pickens will likely get the most targets again. Last week, he had 4 catches for 48 yards. Pat Freiermuth is also going to be an important weapon as he looks to add on to his 4 catches for 59 yards from last week. But the offensive line needs to get it together. Russell Wilson has taken 3 or more sacks in each of the last 4 games, and the rushing attack ran for 120 yards against Cleveland last week with the 2-man power trip of Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris going for 45 and 41 of those yards respectively. And Warren did pick up a touchdown last week, and he is averaging 4.1 yards per carry in those last 4 games. Now, the Steelers' defense needs to wake up as they gave up 24 points to Jameis Winston and the Browns in the snow. They are still 4th in the league in terms of points given up per game at 16.9, and they held the Browns to 1 for 10 on 3rd down, and they forced 3 turnovers. The passing defense last week allowed 219 yards and got 1 pick from Dante Jackson. It is one of 12 interceptions for the Steelers' defense, which is tied for 5th in the league. The rush defense looks to stop Brown and Moss and even Burrow as they gave up 3 touchdowns on the ground to the Browns as well as 85 yards. Even though they did give up 2 touchdowns to Nick Chubb, they held Chubb to 3 yards per carry, and they are 7th in the league in terms of yards per carry for running backs at 3.9. And the pass rush was only able to manage a strip sack from Nick Herbig, recovered by Dante Jackson. That was the only sack of the game against the Browns. The Bengals defense looks to get their act together against the struggling opposing offense. Considering they gave up over 20 points in each of the last 4 games, they really need to. They are 28th in points per game at 26.9, 26th in terms of third down defense, and in the red zone, they are second to last. That could mean the scent of blood to a certain offense desperately looking for more red zone production. The last time the Bengals touched turf, they let Justin Herbert run an air show at SoFi, throwing for 297 yards, and this defense has given up 225.6 passing yards per game, which is 23rd in the NFL. The pass rush isn't much better since they've gotten that many sacks since they haven't gotten that many sacks or many. And the pass rush isn't much better since they haven't gotten that many sacks or many pressures. But they were able to sack Herbert twice 2 weeks ago, with those being from Joseph Asai and a combined sack from Trey Hendrickson and Cam Taylor-Britt. However, they have been better at stopping the run, giving up 4.1 yards per carry, with the NFL average being 4.4. After last week, the Steelers better be plain pissed. The problem is they're going against one of the top offenses in the NFL, even though the record doesn't show it. Plus, this is another AFC North rivalry we are talking about. You go into these games with a clean slate. I think this game will be higher scoring than in the Browns game. Meanwhile, the Bengals have had plenty of rest, but it all depends on what they do with it. This game is going to go either way, but I will say the Steelers win at 30-24. Once again, this is AFC North football, so this could go either way. Now, last season I did a charity drive where I did 17 different charities in 14 different cities throughout the Steelers season because I wanted to highlight people that are doing great things everywhere. And for this first game against the Cincinnati Bengals, I chose the Ken Anderson Alliance. The Ken Anderson Alliance is a nonprofit creating live work and engage opportunities for adults with developmental disabilities. They believe that adults with disabilities have the human and civil rights to live, work, engage, socialize, love, learn, and worship in the setting and manner of their choosing with support of family and friends. Their mission is to provide a quality of life that empowers adults with disabilities to develop and sustain lifelong relationships, independence, and self-esteem while contributing to the larger community. The link to the Ken Anderson Alliance is in the description, and also I will put in a link to the American Red Cross as they continue with efforts for Hurricanes Helene and Milton, and that's going to be posted throughout the rest of the season. But that's going to do it for me. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the Red Rip Duckman All Sports Network. I look forward to seeing you guys earlier today because I'm recording this at 1 in the morning, so that's why my voice is pretty low. But until we meet again, I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, and as always, let's go Steelers.